What up, folks? Once again, it's your boy Tim, also known as Chicago in the Corner. Good afternoon. This is the next day after what was a historic day. As you can see in the comments, we're asking a question. We're actually posing a scenario from Steve Jobs of Apple to Darnella Frazier, the story of justice for George Floyd. I'm going to tell you how those two are linked up. We're going to talk about Darnella Frazier, all of that. But first, I'm going to ask you to do what I normally ask you to do. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Our subscribers have been steadily going up, but not at the rate I'd like. But I'm going to drop this video. You go ahead and hit subscribe. If you like what I'm saying at the end of the video, if you can feel what I'm talking about, give me a like. If you got something to say about it, feel free to hit the thumbs down button. I have no problem about that. We always discuss your comment in the comments. So let's get to it. As you know, everybody knows who Steve Jobs is. He's the late great juggernaut from Apple Computing, responsible for everything from the Macintosh to the iPhone to the iPad, etc., etc. We remember him walking across big stages in his signature black outfit, mock turtleneck, when he was introducing new products to what turned out to be the world. Now, how does he connect a juggernaut like that, a corporate juggernaut who passed away in 2011? How does he connect to Darnella Frazier? Well, Steve Jobs is the inventor, like I said, of the iPhone, the smartphone. Every smartphone, basically since day one, has come with a camera. Darnella Frazier was 17 years of age at the time, and she is the one that filmed the now probably world-renowned photo of George Floyd under the knee of former officer Derek Chauvin. Former officer now convicted on 3 felonies, major felonies, Derek Chauvin. And what makes those two linked up is that there was a time period, a very lengthy time period, which African Americans continually complain about being mistreated by police. A time period when they did not have cameras readily available virtually everywhere. And we're crediting Steve Jobs because he, being the inventor of the smartphone, has essentially put a camera in the hand of virtually everyone who owns a phone now. There was obviously cameras before the invention of the iPhone in 2007, but the quality, the quantity just blew up once the smartphone was invented. Nowadays, you can't really even buy a phone that does not come with a camera. Even the little cheap grandma phones come with cameras. Smartphones come with very highly detailed cameras, like the one Darnella Frazier used. So ever since Steve Jobs, because you often hear, well, why all of a sudden are police taking so much flack now that they didn't used to take in the past? Well, it was because they could explain away everything and they were given the benefit of the doubt. Photographs and video like what Darnella Frazier took of George Floyd can't be just explained away with a cop saying, well, this is what happened, because they originally credited George Floyd's death to a medical emergency. Well, without that video, that's how he would have died. It would have been a medical emergency while being restrained by police. But when you're able to present a video like that, it becomes clear that maybe the medical emergency is not what killed him. And that was presented at trial, and apparently the jury debunked that, and Officer Derek Chauvin has been convicted of manslaughter, 2nd and 3rd degree murder. But without that video that Darnella Frazier took using one of Steve Jobs' inventions, whether it was a smartphone or an Android, it all started with Apple, the guy is going to jail probably for quite a while. And yeah, I mean, not only did she take she took what is obviously well over a 10-minute video. But it's not just the fact that she took the video, it's that the unwavering effort she exhibited. She didn't aim the camera elsewhere while she composed herself or at other crowd members who were swearing. She didn't aim it at the ground. She didn't pause the video. She kept that camera steady on the event for well over 10 minutes. Now, keep in mind, had she paused, had she aimed the camera in other directions or did anything like that, that would have given the defense an additional strategy to say, well, this could have happened while she wasn't aimed at the scene, or they could have tried to provide medical attention while the camera wasn't aimed at the deceased, George Floyd, or they could have checked his pulse while the camera wasn't aimed. By her maintaining that camera on the scene for that length of time, it removed a lot of the defense's potential angles they could have presented. Now there was body cam also, but the body cam is on the officer's chest and it's moving around with the action, so it's not going to continue aimed at what's going on with the knee on the neck. Now, one of the medical professionals at trial, actually even illustrated, in his opinion, his medical professional opinion, when George Floyd took his last breath. They're using this girl's footage, footage to come to these conclusions. So, Darnella Frazier absolutely has taken one of the greatest inventions of all times, a smartphone, and probably has recorded one of the most well-known videos for probably the rest of our lifetimes. Everybody who was around during the Rodney King video, which they used an over-the-shoulder camcorder. Remember, if you're old enough, you probably remember the Sony camcorders and things like that took the little small VHS tapes, not the big VHS-C tapes and things. Well, that was taken with one of those. And that footage, for those who were around in the 1990s, I believe that happened in 1991, everyone remembers that footage of what happened to Rodney King. And that was pretty grainy footage, by the way. Like I said, the footage taken of George Floyd, when zoomed in, the doctors were able to give their medical opinion that this is the point where he's taking his last breath. So you literally could see the guy, inhaling and exhaling. That's how clear footage is nowadays. But yeah, she's probably used Steve Jobs' invention and taken some of the most memorable footage that's going to be of our lifetime. 20, 30 years from now, you will remember. If you're 15 or older, you will remember what that footage, looking at Derek Chauvin on the knee, you'll know what that is. You'll remember that for the rest of your lifetime. So I just wanted to let you guys know who Darnella Frazier is. You can Google her. Like I said, she was 17 at the time, which means she's probably around 18 or so now. So she was a minor. I believe she testified at trial. I watched a lot of that trial. I believe she also spoke at trial. But anyway, I brought her up to not only give her kudos for taking such a significant video, not, like I said, not aiming away from the camera, keeping it steady for well over 10 minutes, because he was on the knee. He had a knee on the neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, and all of that's documented. Plus, also the resisting that George Floyd was clearly doing. He was clearly resisting arrest and yelling out. All of that, a lot of that is on her video as well. So up to and including the EMS, emergency medical services, arriving and asking Derek Chauvin to get off of George Floyd. So, and you see George Floyd's head is completely limp, and paramedics have to hold his head, because all the life is out of his body. So she recorded all of that without aiming the camera anywhere else, without getting distracted or anything, even up to and including the audio of people asking and begging to help George Floyd. So that woman, now woman, 18 years of age, that woman, I don't know how she should be rewarded, but that is why I'm making this video, not only to give kudos and accolades to her, but I want to ask, I'm going to ask you as the audience watching this video, imagine if George Floyd was one of your family members, and I don't care what color you are or what race you happen to be. Just lost my light there for a minute, but it doesn't matter what your background is. If she helped acquire justice for your family, not only justice, acquiring 3 major felonies for former officer Derek Chauvin. Also, there was an out-of-court settlement by the state of Minnesota. $27 million went to the Floyd family. Would you, if this was your family receiving justice, would you reach out to Darnella Frazier and give her gratitude of thanks, or try to financially reward her, or, maybe cover her college tuition, whatever the case may be. Maybe she wants to pursue an avenue of photography. I mean, she got some of the best footage that's ever been recorded at this point, or I won't say the best, but most memorable footage of a very long time. I can't even imagine how many hits she has received online from various sources. So that is, you talk about photo gone viral. I mean, this is worldwide footage. I've talked to people in other countries that have seen her footage. So if this was your family and this woman helped get you justice for a loved one that you believed was lost or killed or murdered in the way George Floyd was, how might you respond? Would you look out for her? Would you contact her? I mean, what would you do? And that is the question of this video. What would you do for Darnella Frazier? Do you think she should receive some type of recognition outside of, the family or whoever? I mean, because like I said, it's incredibly memorable photography. There was a photographer that took a still shot of a Viet Cong member being executed in Vietnam. I remember seeing this when I was really, really young. He literally brought the guy out in the middle of town square, put a revolver to his head and shot him and killed him. And that is a photo that's been seen around the world. Well, the killing of George Floyd, I'm not going to necessarily say it's blown up to that level, but it has been seen around the world. I mean, up to and including the president and vice president getting on TV, and the former president, Donald Trump, also said the footage was disturbing as well. So it's been seen and commented on by at least 2 presidents, and I've got to assume that Barack Obama has also made statements on it. So probably 3 presidents. So anyway, what do you think should be allocated, or what kind of acknowledgement should be given to 18-year-old Darnella Frazier for the footage she took? Just wanted to get that out there right now. Like I said, I'm not gonna go too deep into the George Floyd trial, other than to say I've done a couple videos before this. I am delighted at the verdict. I made no qualms about it. I think the former officer absolutely was guilty of ending the life of George Floyd. We can argue whatever the case may be, but I never ever bought the idea that George Floyd died from COVID, a drug overdose. I believe they used potential carbon monoxide poisoning, heart disease, heart attack. I mean, they threw a litany of reasons that he died to basically divert from potentially just suffocation from so much weight being on his diaphragm. So kudos to the officers, the medical professionals, the training officer, the chief of police from Minneapolis. Kudos to all of them for stepping up and saying this was bullshit. So we're going to get back to the topic of the video. Darnella Frazier, what do you believe should be done in acknowledgement to her? Or should we just say thank you and move on? Your family, your loved one, this woman helped you guys out. What would you do? Talk to you again soon. Your boy Chicago out. It's been a pleasure. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you in the comments.